Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. Right now, there are these massive legacy brands, companies that have been household names for literally decades, and they are spending tens of millions of dollars to actively stop selling their products in department stores.
Yeah, it's a massive pivot.
Right. And if you are a modern professional looking for a strategic advantage, that kind of, counterintuitive maneuver should immediately grab your attention. So today we are doing a deep dive into Felix Römer's comprehensive guide. It's called Direct-to-Consumer Strategy, Winning in the Digital Marketplace.
And it's worth noting, this isn't just a conversation about e-commerce.
No, definitely not. It's really a masterclass in business efficiency, owning the customer relationship, and fundamentally the future of work in this digitally fragmented economy we're all in.
Absolutely. Because the shift Römer outlines, it's basically a complete architectural teardown of how commerce has operated for, the last century.
The wholesale model, right.
Exactly. For decades, wholesale was the foundation. A manufacturer would produce goods, pack them onto these massive pallets, and just ship them off to a third-party retailer.
Which was great for volume.
Right. The manufacturer got guaranteed volume, but the retailer owned the shelf space, they owned the customer data, and they completely owned the relationship with the end buyer. The direct-to-consumer, or DTC model, completely flips that dynamic.
It really does. I actually like to visualize this shift by thinking about childcare, oddly enough.
Okay, I'm intrigued. How so?
Well, wholesale distribution is essentially like handing your product over to a babysitter.
Yeah.
Like the babysitter does a really solid job keeping the kid alive, right? They make sure the kid is presentable, they take it to the playground, but they are the ones building the daily bond.
Oh, that makes total sense. They learn all the quirks.
Exactly. They learn the exact way to soothe the tantrum. But DPC, that's like being the parent. You have to do all the grueling, unglamorous work. You're the one up at night picking, packing, and shipping single items instead of just, moving massive pallets.
But the trade-off is huge.
Yeah, you get 100% of the loyalty and all those intimate behavioral insights. You get to keep the bond.
And the behavioral data Römer provides in the text shows exactly why brands are so willing to take on those sleepless nights. I mean, we've really reached a tipping point in consumer expectations.
What does the data actually look like right now?
Well, currently, 59% of consumers are actively researching products directly on brand websites. They're just completely bypassing traditional search engines or retail aggregators.
Wow, 59%.
Yeah, and even more telling, 55% explicitly prefer buying straight from the manufacturer rather than a third-party retailer.
So it's not just the brands forcing this.
No, not at all. It's the consumers actively pulling them into it. Modern buyers just expect lightning-fast delivery, highly tailored assortments, and really seamless returns. And they trust the original creator to provide that experience way more than a middleman.
So consumers are literally raising their hands and demanding to buy directly from you. And on the surface, the economics make a ton of sense. You cut out the retail middleman, and you get to dictate the pricing.
You control the whole messaging and the timeline, too.
Right. Like instead of waiting for a high-stakes retail launch that only happens twice a year, a brand can just execute limited product drops. They can test variations rapidly on their own site and scale exactly what works based on, real-time feedback.
Which is incredibly agile.
It is. But I have to be honest, my instinct as a business owner looks at this and sees a massive trap.
The margin trap.
Yeah. Like, sure, you keep that juicy 40 or 50% margin that the retailer used to take, but aren't you just taking all that saved money and handing it straight over to Facebook or Google for digital ads?
And the shipping costs.
Exactly. You're bleeding out the rest on incredibly expensive single-box shipping.
It feels like we are just trading a physical middleman for a digital one. I mean, that is the ultimate reality check for any executive pivoting to this model. You are trading wholesale volume for higher per unit margins, but you take on immense operational risk to capture it.
Because the physical fulfillment completely fractures. Right.
It does. A traditional warehouse is designed for forklifts moving thousands of identical units on pallets. When you shift to DTC, you suddenly have to optimize your distribution centers for human workers, or really complex robotic systems picking single distinct items.
And packing them into custom boxes incredibly fast.
Exactly. Plus, you own all the inventory risk if a product flops. You own the supply chain strain. And as you mentioned, you own the steep upfront costs of building an audience entirely from scratch. You no longer get to just piggyback on the natural foot traffic of a busy department store.
Which means if the logistics are that complex and the customer acquisition costs are that punishing, A brand just cannot survive on one-time buyers.
No, the unit economics would collapse.
Right. You have to earn this intense, almost cult-like loyalty to make it work. Because if I'm spending $40 to acquire a customer, my impulse might be to just bombard them with discount codes to keep them coming back.
But that destroys the very margin you just fought so hard to keep by leaving wholesale.
Exactly. So loyalty can't just be bought with promos. It seems like it has to be rooted in something deeper, like a shared mission.
Yeah, discounting is just a race to the bottom that completely erodes brand equity. The alternative, and Römer highlights this brilliantly, is aligning profit with purpose. You have to build a moat of authenticity.
Like Bombas, right?
Perfect example. They didn't just sell high-quality socks, they engineered a one-for-one donation promise right into their core business model.
And that mission resulted in over 40 million pairs given to homeless shelters, turning passive consumers into active participants in a movement.
Or look at Glossier in the beauty space. They bypassed traditional broadcast marketing and leaned heavily into community co-creation.
Meaning they actually listened to their buyers.
Yes, by actively listening to their audience's feedback and integrating it into product development, they turned everyday followers into collaborators and ultimately fiercely loyal buyers.
But authenticity isn't just about, social missions or co-creation. Modern consumers are actively scrutinizing the physical life cycle of the product itself.
Oh, the sustainability aspect.
Yeah. If you are building a direct relationship with a buyer, they really want to know what happens when they are done with the item, which brings up a parallel trend in the source material that completely shifts the loyalty equation.
The re-commerce revolution.
Exactly. Reselling pre-loved goods is no longer this fringe flea market behavior. The resale market is a $165 billion global giant right now.
That number is staggering.
It is. And 86% of consumers are participating in buying or selling pre-loved goods.
And integrating re-commerce is just a brilliant defensive strategy against those high acquisition costs we talked about. The data shows that 82% of buyers want the financial savings that come with pre-loved items.
And 52% care deeply about the sustainability and environmental impact of what they buy.
Right. So for a DTC brand, standing up a resale marketplace on your own site isn't just some nice PR move. It allows you to control the secondary market for your goods.
So you stop third-party resale apps from cannibalizing your sales.
Exactly. And, more importantly, it keeps the customer within your own ecosystem. They sell their used jacket back to you for store credit, which they then use to buy a new one from you.
Well, you take that used jacket and sell it to a new price-sensitive customer.
Yes. You capture revenue on the exact same item twice, while aligning perfectly with modern consumer values.
That is such a fascinating way to lower the barrier to entry for a new customer while retaining the old one. But even with a compelling mission and a slick re-commerce platform, you still have to actually find these people online.
And that is getting much harder.
Yeah, the mechanics of digital targeting are undergoing a massive crisis right now with the death of the third-party cookie. Privacy regulations and operating system updates are making it incredibly difficult to track user behavior across the internet.
This is what we call the cookieless present. For years, digital marketing relied heavily on third-party cookies. These were tiny pieces of code that just followed users from site to site, building a profile of their interests so brands could target them with surgical precision.
Which is pretty creepy when you think about it.
It is. And with those trackers being heavily restricted now, brands face an urgent need to build their own first-party data. This is information a brand collects directly and consensually from its audience.
Like on-site browsing behavior, email subscriber lists, purchase history, and direct surveys.
Exactly.
I like to think of relying on first-party data as like inviting a customer into your home for a genuine conversation. You offer them a comfortable seat, you ask them what they need, and because they actually trust you, they willingly tell you their preferences.
That's a great way to frame it.
Whereas the old third-party cookie model was more like hiring a private investigator to eavesdrop on them while they were walking through a crowded mall, and then jumping out from behind a plant to offer them exactly what they were just whispering about.
Highly effective, but super invasive.
Right. And consumers fundamentally rejected it.
So that transition from eavesdropping to inviting them in requires a completely different communication strategy. You have to map your content to the funnel across very specific platforms.
How does that breakdown look today?
Well, for the top of the funnel pure discovery, the focus has shifted heavily to platforms like TikTok and Pinterest. The algorithms there are driven by interest graphs rather than social graphs.
Meaning you can reach millions of people who don't even follow you.
Exactly, as long as you have a highly visual, entertaining hook. Then, once they are aware of you, consideration moves to platforms like Instagram, utilizing community posts and shoppable feeds to build that desire.
And for the actual conversion.
For the middle and bottom of the funnel, where you are testing product market fit and driving the sale, Facebook's machine learning is still exceptionally powerful.
But, I mean, acquiring the customer on Facebook or TikTok is still incredibly expensive. The real magic, the part that actually makes this whole operation profitable, is retention through owned channels.
Your email list and your SMS list.
Exactly. There's this incredible example in the deep dive about the men's personal care brand, Mr. Squatch. It highlights this perfectly.
Oh, their SMS strategy.
Yeah, they built a massive text message list, but used it very sparingly.
Yeah.
They only deployed SMS alerts for highly anticipated product drops and rare restocks.
Treating it like a true VIP channel.
Right, rather than a daily spam folder. And by respecting the medium, SMS alone drove 15% of their $200 million in revenue, $30 million just from text messages.
It's incredible. But the challenge for executives listening to this is how to actually measure the effectiveness of that complex web of platforms. When tracking is fractured, how do you know if the TikTok video, the Facebook ad, or the SMS text actually drove the final sale?
Right, because everyone wants to take credit.
Exactly. Modern professionals must pivot to what Römer calls modeled attribution. You can no longer just log into your Meta or Google dashboard and trust them to accurately report how many sales they drove.
Because they are structurally blind to large parts of the user journey now.
Yes. Modeled attribution forces you to blend the platform-reported signals with your brand's own first-party customer data and broader statistical modeling.
I think of modeled attribution like trying to figure out who ate the last slice of pizza in the break room.
Okay, let's hear it.
Meta says they didn't do it, Google points the finger at someone else, and TikTok claims they weren't even in the building.
Yeah.
But you have your own internal security camera, your first-party data, and you know exactly how many slices were there this morning. Modeled attribution is just the detective work of triangulating those conflicting stories against your own solid baseline data to find the truth about your return on ad spend.
That detective work is absolutely essential to stop flying blind. But once you've successfully navigated the ad platforms, utilized your first-party data, and acquired the customer, the final piece of the puzzle is fulfillment.
Which brings us to operations.
Right. And the secret many legacy businesses fail to grasp is that your operations department is a marketing channel.
That is such a massive paradigm shift. Because, operations is usually viewed as the boring back-office plumbing of a business. So how does a mundane returns policy function as a customer acquisition tool?
Think about the buyer's mindset.
Okay, if I'm a consumer, I'm buying the product because I want it, not because I'm planning to send it back.
You buy it because you want it, yes, but the friction of buying something online that you cannot physically touch or try on creates massive purchase anxiety. What if it doesn't fit? What if the quality is poor?
Oh, for sure. I hesitate all the time.
Exactly. So by standardizing a frictionless returns process including prepaid return labels right in the box and offering instant refunds or store credits, the very second the carrier scans the return package at the post office, a brand completely neutralizes that anxiety.
And proactive communication helps too, right?
Yes. Sending updates about order status and precise delivery times further builds that trust.
It really changes the whole psychological dynamic of the transaction. Brands that master fast shipping and effortless returns take a traditional cost center-like customer support and reverse logistics and weaponize it into a loyalty driver.
It's brilliant.
If I know I can return a jacket with zero hassle, I am significantly more likely to take a risk on buying it in the first place. And I'll come back again because the brand respected my time.
And this is a universal principle that applies to almost any client-facing business, from selling physical sneakers to B2B software. Alignment between what you promise in your sleek digital marketing and what you actually deliver in the operational trenches is the ultimate business moat.
If your operations fail, your marketing is retroactively rendered a lie.
Exactly.
Now, having the high-level strategy, authenticity, first-party data, modeled attribution, and operational excellence, that's all great in theory, but moving a business from a whiteboard concept to actual execution without burning through months of runway requires intense discipline.
Which is where the playbook comes in.
Yeah, Felix Römer's piece outlines a phenomenal 90-day go-to-market playbook that breaks this down into strict phases. Let's dig into phase 1, which covers weeks 1 through 4, because Honestly, my impulse would be to build a quick website and immediately start running ads to see if anyone bites.
And rushing to ad spend is exactly how most new ventures bleed capital.
Really?
Yes, phase one is entirely foundational, and it requires major restraint. You are not spending on media yet.
So what are you doing for 4 weeks?
You are rigorously defining your target audience and crafting a sharp, differentiated value proposition. You're standing up your analytics infrastructure so that when traffic does arrive, you can track their behavior accurately.
Making sure the tracking actually works.
Right. You are optimizing your product detail pages, ensuring the imagery, copy, and reviews are designed to convert. And most importantly, you are building the automated email flows.
Like the welcome series to introduce the brand and the abandoned cart reminders to capture lost intent.
Exactly.
You are basically wiring the control room before you turn on the power. If you drive thousands of people to a site with no abandoned cart emails or broken analytics, you've completely wasted your money.
Which leads right into phase two, covering weeks 5 through 12. This is execution and measurement.
Now that the foundation is solid.
Right. Now you start testing paid social ads and seeding product with creators. You introduce SMS for those high-intent buyers who want immediate updates. And the operational focus shifts away from just getting traffic to actually optimizing for contribution margin.
Meaning you scale the campaigns that are winning and ruthlessly cut the ad sets that are wasting money.
Yes, but to do that effectively, you have to monitor very specific key performance indicators weekly. Top-line revenue is just a vanity metric. It tells you nothing about the true health of the business.
So what should you track?
You need to know your CAC, customer acquisition cost. And this isn't just ad spend. It must include the creative costs and agency fees required to get that one buyer.
Makes sense.
And you must track LTV, lifetime value over a 12 to 24-month horizon, mapping how much that customer will continually spend with you.
And instead of relying on the platform's return on ad spend, you look at MRR, right? The media efficiency ratio.
Yes.
That's simply your total business revenue divided by your total ad spend across all platforms. It gives you a macro view of whether your marketing machine is actually generating systemic growth.
Exactly. MER provides the holistic truth. And finally, you evaluate the contribution margin. This is the ultimate metric. It tells you if the business is actually profitable on a per-unit basis after all the variable costs, from the Facebook ad to the cardboard box to the shipping label, are fully paid.
The core philosophy here really is that when you link premium product quality with highly reliable, repeatable delivery backed by ruthless financial metrics, you earn lasting trust.
Direct-to-consumer must be treated as a unified company effort encompassing finance, operations, customer service, and merchandising. It is not just some digital marketing tactic.
It is the entire operating system of the modern business.
Yeah.
Which actually leaves us with a provocative thought to consider as you wrap up your day.
Oh, what's that?
Well, we've just spent all this time analyzing how brands are pulling away from massive retailers to stand entirely on their own, right?
Yeah.
Building their own sites, their own data centers, their own warehouses.
Right.
But if every single brand successfully goes direct to consumer, the digital landscape is going to become incredibly fragmented and honestly kind of exhausting for the buyer.
That's a very fair point.
Right. Will consumers eventually suffer from such severe subscription fatigue and app overload that they actually start craving a rebundling of their favorite brands? Yeah. Could the ultimate future of DTC actually circle back to a new, highly curated digital form of the department store, where an aggregator manages all the logistics for dozens of indie brands under one unified checkout? It really makes you wonder if the pendulum of commerce is just winding up to swing right back.
It's a brilliant paradox. Human attention is finite. At a certain point, the sheer friction of managing 50 different brand relationships might push the market to demand a centralized hub, forcing brands to once again trade some margin for the convenience of an aggregated audience.
It is something to definitely keep an eye on as the digital marketplace evolves. Well, thank you so much for tuning into the SmartKeys podcast. We really appreciate you joining us for this deep dive into the mechanics of modern commerce.
It's been a great discussion.
If you want to continually stay ahead of the curve on business strategy, consumer trends, and the future of work, please hit that subscribe button right now. And I strongly encourage you to read Felix Römer's full, detailed article. We barely scratched the surface of his strategic frameworks, and you can find the direct link to it right in the show notes. We'll catch you next time.